Just gone midday. We're in the bowels of the Liverpool Convention Centre, trying to get in to see the big speech by the Shadow Chancellor, Ed Balls. As usual, it's very Spinal Tap.
These are the darkest, most dangerous times, certainly in my lifetime. Britain, the world, is facing
Dramatic
the threat of
speech.
something
Fair play, it
that
was
most
packed
of us
house.
have never read about other than in the history books. A decade of economic stagnation. And George Osborne's economic plan is hurting the conference. It's just not working. Investment brought forward, support for families, support for homeowners, support for small businesses, 5 immediate steps the government could take tomorrow. If they do so, we will back them. Call it Plan A, call it Plan B, call it Plan C. I don't care what they call it. Britain just needs a plan that works. There is a better way.
Obligatory standing ovation. Slightly hesitant finish. A lot of tactics, not a whole load of strategy.
Ed Balls is the original Brownite, and the essence of Brownite politics is this, or was this. You really leave the fundamental structures of the economy unchanged. You sort of charge up the model of capitalism we've got, you take the tax skim and you spend it on schools and hospitals. But what the financial crisis has done is it's brought that economic model into disrepute, and therefore this moment needs much bigger answers.
Do you think perhaps he should have talked about more radically reforming the economy, given that we're in the middle of a great big crisis of market fundamentalism, arguably?
Probably, but he's got to balance. He's got to balance what will be acceptable to the great British people.
There was ideas in his speech that George Osborne could take up tomorrow.
But shouldn't we be talking about the fact that, you know, the economic approach we've had for the last 30 years, which George Osborne is carrying on, is fundamentally broken?
I don't think that's the case. It's not.
You don't think the sort of free market model we've had for the last 30 years is proving bust?
I think at the moment the most important thing is the cuts that are not helping us get out of this recession.
Well, far be it from me to be critical of your average conference delegate, but they're easily pleased here.
Though if the 5-point plan was implemented now, that would make a very big difference to confidence. In terms of overall restructuring the economy, you're not going to sort that out in one speech, John. You're not.
No, but to give it a sort of slightly more umphy hint that that's the way people are thinking.
There's a whole section in there on securing long-termism.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't using quite the dramatic language I'm at.
Oh, right, so it's not an issue of what he said, it's how he said it.
I'm a drama addict, maybe that's it. Your reaction to big speeches like that is often sort of mired in ambivalence, and though I would like to hear a more umphy message about the economic fundamentals, I can also see the Labour Party's essential calculation, which is that they've got to win back the public's trust before they can have a serious argument about anything.
Ed Balls speech, £2 fundraising for Labour students. Fundraising for Labour students.
£2?
£2.
You get them free down there. 10 minutes till our possible balls encounter. Hello. Hi. Right, Angela Eagle, who's the Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury, in other words, Ed Balls is number 2, is apparently on her way. You wrote a piece in The Guardian last week about the end of what you call market fundamentalism.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle of a sort of new era, something very serious is happening, as you understand.
Yeah, I think there's been a watershed in economics and politics, and I think things are more in flux now than they have been since I was at school, which, you know, is rather a long time ago. The Thatcher-Reagan orthodoxy, I think, broke and now no longer works. It doesn't provide sustainable economies or societies that can renew themselves properly, and we need to look for something different.
It's my phone going, and it's probably Ed Balls. Hold on. Hello, where are you? OK, 10 minutes. Got all the time in the world now. OK, we'll see you at Eon in 10 minutes. Right. What does it mean in policy terms?
Well, I think we're just...
I mean, in your piece, you set out that the world had changed, you know, we're in a new era.
Yeah.
But what does it mean in policy terms?
Well, I think we're just at the process where we have to work that through. And so what I was trying to say in my piece was that we have to think more about ethics, we have to think about what markets deliver and how we can make them deliver something that's more sustainable socially, more sustainable environmentally.
We've got 3 minutes at the Eon stand.
Over there. Where is he? I'm told Ed Balls is nearby, but I can't see him.
Oh, he's behind us again now. We're not stalking you, I promise.
Maybe this is yet another interview about the death of neoliberalism.
Do you want to go and hear Liam first?
Give us 2 minutes. Just wait.
Just wait here.
7 minutes.
All right, 7 minutes. I'll hold you to that. See you in 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Well, there, I've been blown out again, jilted even. This time for Liam Byrne. Right, I suppose we better kill some time at the Jury's Inn, more specifically somewhere we know as the Guru Bar area, a sprinkling of intellectuals there, and usually a slightly greater sense of a ferment of ideas than you get in the convention centre.
I fear that what Ed Balls, who's a brilliant politician, I admire him greatly, but I feel all he's offering is Gordon Brown plus 2. You know, it's kind of creating once more sort of a welfare state and relying on the market to just return, and we feed the market and cream it off for welfareism. That's over.
We're at the end of 30 years of sort of free market orthodoxy. What does that mean policy-wise?
I think it means a radical shift and a huge change. I mean, you've got people on the right like Charles Moore saying our model of capitalism doesn't work. And by the same token, on the left, nobody is saying that. You know, that's what's so peculiar.
Maurice, tell me your understanding of the economic moment that we're in right now.
Well, the old order has died and the new is yet to be born, to use the old cliche. And we're very, very far off, I think, really conceptualising what the new economy is going to look like, but I think the outline is roughly clear, that capitalism tends to centralisation, to very heavy corporate domination, that the managerialism of the last 30 years has really led to not just massive inequality but massive inefficiency too.
The Thatcher-Reagan neoliberal paradigm that we've been living in for the last 30 years has burned itself out, among other developments.
Yep. The exclusive backstage area.
Ed Balls, I think, is now doing, it's about to do Channel 4 News. Apparently, we're next.
What's the matter? Are we at the end of 30 years of free market Thatcher-Reagan economic orthodoxy? There's a lot of noise about that around.
I think, if I'm honest with you, I think that's too simplistic. I don't think a Thatcher-Reagan a neoliberal orthodox person would have come into government in 1997 and said, let's have a windfall tax on the privatised utilities for a jobs programme for young people, or a national minimum wage, or raised the national insurance tax for the national publicly funded free at the point of use health service, which the right was saying could never work, and we've proved them wrong.
But nonetheless, there was an economic model, certainly as regards your attitude to the financial sector, which prevailed during that period, and at least one of your shadow treasury colleagues has talked very recently in quite strong language. When Angela Eagle has said market fundamentalism was a self-serving, conservative political ideology, it did not deliver a just or sustainable society at home or a stable system globally, and it must be discarded. So she buys the end of 30 years of economic orthodoxy argument. I wonder if you do.
And it was a very good piece. And in that piece,
do you agree with it?
And in that piece, she says,
do you agree with
New Labour fought against it and didn't do enough.
Right.
And that's true.
You talk in the kind of terms you talk today, to get the public's ear again, to assure them of your economic bona fides and your economic competence, and then maybe in a year or two you might start talking about a new economic model and a very fundamentally new way of doing things.
Well, listen, let me return to somebody who I've studied a lot and who I'm a follower of, John Maynard Keynes. Keynes, as an economist, I mean, he was a liberal. He would be appalled by what these Liberal Democrats are doing these days. Keynes said, first of all, that in good times, in normal times, you've got to be tough. He would have backed Bank of England independence, in my view. You've got to have fiscal rectitude, no doubt about that. Secondly, economies can get into times like now, like in the 30s, where you get stuck, and then you need special action. But thirdly, he talked about the casino economy, the animal spirits and short-termism of British capitalism, and said that's got to be reformed. And he's right on that as well. And we've got to address that third leg of policy. Yes, tough on fiscal and monetary rectitude. Yes, action now for growth and jobs at a time when the world needs leadership. But thirdly, we've got to tackle that short-termism in our capital and our labour markets, in our culture, in our society. And we didn't do enough of that as Labour in government.
So to talk in academic terms, a new paradigm does beckon.
Well, but it's always important not to have a false consciousness.
The problem is that Ed Balls, in a way, is still quite committed to Keynesianism, which is the previous one to the neoliberal ascendancy. So he still thinks that there's a really big role for state for central state redistribution, but not only that, for calculation. And what he hasn't grasped is that the new economics is going to be based on regions, and it's going to be based on skill. The most successful economy in Europe is the German economy. And then let's look at the most successful economy in Europe, see what it's made up of. So they managed to combine worker democracy, regional banking, vocational regulation, and without having a deficit.
Okay.
Miliband wrote his master's, on the German apprenticeship system. Ed's got a genuine knowledge of all this stuff.
I'm not sure Ed Balls would be that interested.
Yeah, well, that's the argument that's got to be had, I think. He should be, so we've got to engage Ed Balls. That's the task for the year.
You'll have a job finding him if today's anything to go by.